Hello there. A Christmas Carol, The Lord of the Rings, The Catcher in the Rye, all very famous and successful works of fiction. But what if I told you that today we were going to take a look at one that you might not be familiar with? Sonic, the video game, the movie, the book. Let's jump in. Chapter 1. He had to go fast. Faster than a jet plane. Faster than the speed of sound. Faster than lightning. Sonic had to be the fastest thing alive. What choice did he have, with the missiles on his heels? Crash! Shoom! Hey, come on, Doc! You're trashing public property here! Sonic called over his shoulder. The shards of breaking glass fell in slow motion behind him. Sonic curved his path and his whole body spun in a blue blur out onto San Francisco Bay. As he splashed out across the water, he could feel the first heat seeker barreling down on him, and behind it he could hear the laughter of a certain maniac with bad breath and a weirdo moustache. Robotnik. Even with the craziness of that egg-shaped pod of destruction close behind, Sonic couldn't stop asking himself how he got to this point. Where did this adventure all start? California? Planet Earth? These weren't places where a talking blue hedgehog was supposed to exist, not like home. Maybe that's where it all started. Back home. Back with Longclaw. The island was as mysterious as it was beautiful. Lush green plant life sprung from the ground in perfect geometric patterns. Crystal clear waterfalls cascaded into endless sandy beaches, and the ground twisted and turned not into hills, but wild loops that only he could spring through without falling. And when he ran around them, there was music in the air. But there was danger there too. She had warned him. Longclaw was the last of her kind, a noble line of warrior owls dedicated to maintaining balance for all living creatures. Outfitted in blades and battle armor, Longclaw's order had fought for years to protect their world, a world where the animals of the forest and the fields had evolved to be the dominant species, a world ruled by claw and fang. But by the time Sonic knew her, the old owl was less a radical warrior and more a wise mother. She was the only one who had cared for him after the emergence of his powers. Even in their world, the blue fur, the electric speed, it was nearly indescribable. There were some who believed his powers would unleash chaos on the world. And so Longclaw took him into hiding on the island. There he could run free and be something close to a normal kid. The most chaotic thing about his life were his hilarious pranks. That's how he saw it. Whoosh! Wind whipped through the old hut they shared on that last night. Longclaw reached for the scabbard of her ancient blade. Her wings twitched as she called, "Who goes there?" "Ha! Gotcha again!" Sonic laughed as he popped out from under the bed's covers. He'd just hit the place with an immense amount of wind. "Sonic," Longclaw called, leaning on her weapon for support. "You can't go bouncing across the island like that. Someone could have seen you." "No one saw me. I'm too fast. And anyway, I wanted to bring you this." He lifted up a sunflower, radiant and delicate. They grew on the far side of the island, the one that pointed back to the rest of the world. The old owl took the blossom in her feathers and touched it gingerly. Then her eyes snapped into focus. She heard something. "Get down!" Longclaw shouted, and wrapped Sonic in her mighty wings. Thunk, thunk, thunk. A flash of arrows flew through the windows and embedded themselves in the hut's weak walls. A split second later, Longclaw blasted through the roof with Sonic clenched firmly in her talons. On the edges of his vision, Sonic could see who had fired the arrows. Echidnas! They were coarse, vicious cousins of hedgehogs, and the hoods these ones wore showed their allegiance to the powerful warlords who had chased Sonic his whole life. They wanted to unleash the chaos energy inside him and overtake the world. And by visiting the far side of the island, where he'd most certainly been spotted, he'd led them right to his home. The echidnas swarmed everywhere around the hut. Their army marched dark trails across the face of this beautiful island like black veins. There was no escaping them or the arrows that reached into the sky after Longclaw and Sonic. Thwack! Ah! Longclaw cried as her flapping ceased and both she and Sonic crashed to the forest floor. Sonic rose to his feet, but she stumbled again. The echidnas would be on them at any moment, but all he could think about was the wound he saw on Longclaw where the arrow bit deep into her side. Listen carefully, Sonic, she coughed as she limped to his side. You have a power unlike anything I've ever seen, and that means someone will always want it. The only way to stay safe is to stay hidden, and you'll have to do it without me. No! Years later, Sonic still remembered the sting of tears in his eyes. I'll shock them all until they never come for us again. It's too late for that, and besides, you don't want to live only to destroy. You were meant for more than chaos, she said, like she had 1,000 times before. I don't know why this power came to you, but I have to believe that it was for more than being a pawn in someone else's game. That's why you must use the rings to travel to another planet, one whose inhabitants are ignorant of the larger universal order.
Chapter 6. Tom took the first calm moment he'd had since the blackout hit last night and used it to plan his escape. Across his kitchen counter, he spread a large map of western United States with a thick star drawn around San Francisco in red marker. It went well with the poster of the city skyline Maddie had hung in the garage. All he had to do was figure out the quickest highway route and he'd be on his way to her. It was crazy, honey, he said into the phone as he scanned the map. The whole town went dark. It was like a sign telling me to get out of Dodge. Far be it for me to get in the universe's way, but I don't want you driving out here after night, running around green hills, making sure no one was hurt, came Maddie's voice on the line. Nah, I wasn't out that late, he said. Besides, they mostly wanted me to save the food from spoiling in their fridges. I'm serious, Tom. You can wait to find a cheap flight in a few days' time. I'll be fine. I'll take my time, he said, and traced a path in red. It'll only take me 2 days, just me and the open road, and not one thought for Green Hills, or its paranoid theories, or its whoomph! Raccoons! Tom's eyes lit up as the noise from the garage settled. They may have made it inside, but they're in for a surprise. He reached into his duffel bag and pulled out a black tranquilizer gun on loan from the department. Tom Wachowski, your surprise better not be one of those industrial tranq darts, Maddie said, reading his mind. Those animals are just hungry. Also, those darts are for bears. Of course not. This is just a scare tactic. Love you, honey. Bye. Tom cut the call off with a swipe of his thumb as Maddie protested. Tom crept towards the garage as if he was about to kick the door down to some kind of underworld hideout. That's the kind of thing he'd be doing all day in San Francisco, he was sure. These raccoons put my partner in the hospital, he narrated like one of his favourite movies, but they can't escape justice forever. As he pulled the door open slowly, a few more boxes slid off a high shelf, and Tom heard another sound. A tiny voice. Did these things somehow turn on the radio? Just think of a place, throw the ring, think of a place, throw the ring, the high-pitched voice repeated. Come on, remember what Longclaw said. If they find you, go to the next planet, even if it's boring and smells weird, and your only companions will be mushrooms of some kind. Tom spun around the corner and leveled the tranquilizer gun on a pile of fallen boxes just below his San Francisco poster. SFPD pending background check, he cried. Paws in the air where I can... And then the electric blue hedgehog looked up at him. It raised its hands. It had hands. It tried to look innocent. Meow? Ah! Tom screamed, and the creature yelled back in kind. Before he knew it, his trigger finger snapped, and a dart shot straight into the animal's neck. It stumbled, its eyes both surprised and suddenly glassy, and it tossed a large golden ring into the air. That's when things got crazy. The ring hung in midair in Tom's garage, a faint glow rising to an array of sparkles. Through the middle of the ring, Tom could see the poster of his San Francisco skyline, with the Transamerica building dead center. Then, all of a sudden, it wasn't just a picture. It was more like a window into the height of that tower. Tom reached out his hand to touch the rooftop when the hedgehog finally tipped over and passed out. The ring dropped to the ground. In a second, a brown bag dropped from the animal's paw and slid into the golden window created by the ring. Zam! Tom blinked, and the ring was gone. Its version of the Transamerica building faded, and all that was left was an overgrown talking forest creature. A blue one at that. The Blue Devil, he said, shaking his head. I owe Crazy Carl an apology, I guess. He carried the hedgehog into the house and laid it on the couch. While he slept, Tom took out the quill he'd been carrying around all day and slid it into Sonic's spiny scalp. After a while, the hedgehog's heavy breathing lightened, and with a flutter of its eyes, it snapped awake. Donut Lord? It said slowly. It's real. It's really real, Tom said. What are you? Why were you hiding in my garage? Are you here to abduct me? What? Said the hedgehog, standing up. You abducted me! Okay, fair point. And I'm here because I needed somewhere safe. They came to my home. The last thing I saw was them tearing through my stuff. The animal's eyes grew as it remembered. And you're the only person I could think of to turn to, Donut Lord. Why do you keep calling me Donut Lord? Because I've seen you talking to donuts and eat them if they get out of line. Again, fair. Wait, where are all the mushrooms? Why am I still on Earth? What happened to... The creature started panicking. My rings! I lost my rings! Wait, that glowing thing? Tom asked. Was that like your mothership? Because I think it just flew off to San Francisco. The hedgehog stumbled around and fell back to the couch, still groggy from the trank. They're coming for me. You have to help me, Donut Lord. My legs don't work and my rings are gone. Please, it's life or death. That clinched it. Tom had been waiting to hear the phrase life or death his entire life. This was it. A real shot to take action as a cop. Plus, what would Maddie say about a talking animal pleading for its life? Okay, Tom said with his sternest action hero expression. Come with me if you want to live.
Chapter 11. The truck shuddered when Sonic hit the tailgate and climbed into the back. Tom couldn't believe the old pickup had lasted this long, but it was being pushed to its limits. In the mirror, he saw something black quickly get bigger and bigger. You make a new friend? He called to the hedgehog. It's over, Donut Lord, Sonic said through the window. You have to leave me. Maybe if Robotnik tracks just me to San Francisco, maybe even if he gets his hands on me, then you and the town will be okay. That's crazy, Tom said. He was touched this little guy would be willing to sacrifice so much for their safety, and maybe he was feeling a little guilty too. You don't owe that town anything. Somebody has to, Sonic yelled, and his quills started to crackle with blue energy. If you leave, who's going to judge the Blueberry Festival or sit in the dunk tank? Who's going to do all that stuff? Now is not the time to talk about this, pal. The dune buggy bot was right behind them now. Tom floored the gas pedal, but the shaking truck just wouldn't move any faster. The mechanical monster behind them sprouted tiny metal arms that clawed at the pavement just inches from their wheels. But it's all going to be over soon, and everyone in that town is going to be left alone, like me, Sonic cried. His whole body was vibrating with uncontrolled energy now, and Tom could see the fear in his eyes as his rage turned to realization. Oh no, not again. Sonic, don't! The Hedgehog jumped off the truck and flew 3 feet through the air to land on the dune buggy. The Botnik shuddered as Sonic's hands reached out in front of him and made a thunderous clap. The shockwave of chaotic blue energy radiated out of those fingers with all its fury pointed back from where they'd come from. In a second, the dune buggy smoked and collapsed on the road. Far back, all the little lights on Robotnik's van went dead, but Sonic was flung back by the force of his own attack and landed in the truck bed with a thud. Miraculously, Tom still had control of the vehicle. He slammed the brakes, and as it peeled to a stop, he shivered at the thought that Sonic might be hurt. "Hey buddy, Sonic, friend, are you okay?" Tom called, leaping into the back of the truck. The Hedgehog rolled over and flashed a weak smile. "Totally cool, Donut Lord," he said. "Just a teenager reacting to how bad life sucks right now." Tom smiled wide. "Yeah, I've been there," he said. "Let's just be happy that your blackout blast only seems to kill the road behind us. If it went back far enough, then Robotnik won't be able to call out any reinforcements for a hot minute. Let's get ourselves to San Francisco while we can still make it." "Donut Lord," Sonic said as he hopped down and made his way into the cab of the truck. "Tom, about what I said about you leaving everyone in town alone, I didn't mean... It's just hard for me to see you give up what I can't." "Forget it," Tom cut in. "Let's talk about it later. There's a bag of rings waiting for us."
Chapter 16. It was a rush, a thrill, a rocket ride to the other side and back again. And it wasn't going anywhere. Sonic sped through the streets of Green Hills. It was broad daylight, and he could stop any time he wanted. He spun through the drive-thru of the Burger Princess whenever he wanted a free double-decker with cheese. He posted up to Crazy Carl's whenever he needed to borrow something, not a bear trap in sight. He had a regular movie night with a certain young lady, totally casual, you know. And most of all, he could pop into his best friend's house whenever he wanted. It felt strange still, all these weeks later, to be seen, to be known, to be accepted by these people that he had watched from the outside for years. But it was good. He didn't have to hide who he was. Even when his speed got out of control and he broke something in town, the local gym had stocked up on an extra treadmill for insurance, Sonic was never afraid of driving anyone away. He swung down the road and pulled up to Tom and Maddie's house, but something was off. A large black SUV sat idling in the driveway. Sonic slowed down and quietly zipped his way into the bushes as a man in black knocked on the door. "Thomas Wachowski?" asked the stern-faced spook. "Among other names," Tom said. "Who wants to know?" "I'm Agent Stone, Department of Defense Special Branch." "Another one of you guys? I hate to tell you, but we had some trouble with the last one." Through the bushes, Sonic squeezed his fists tight in anticipation. "That's what I'm here about. I've been tasked with cleaning up ops for our division, so certain inequities don't repeat themselves," said Agent Stone, handing Tom a package. "Consider this an olive branch for keeping certain matters quiet and a promise that you won't be troubled again." "I can take a little trouble," Tom said. "Speaking of which, did you ever find any trail of that Robotnik guy?" "I'm sorry, no such person exists or has ever existed." "Oh, how I wish that were true." "You haven't by any chance been in contact with a certain alien creature since the incident?" the agent asked. "Uncle Sam would love to have a chat with him, very casual, a brunch maybe." "Who, the Blue Devil?" "As far as I'm concerned, that's an urban legend." Very well, Mr. Wachowski, Stone said, but keep the package handy, just in case. Stone's SUV rolled out, and Sonic crept up from his hiding place and into Tom's house. He swung through the kitchen and made himself a bag of popcorn, kicking his feet up on the couch. What the heck, man? Cried Tom, coming in from the garage. You don't knock? I thought it was guys' night tonight, Sonic said. It's a little late, pal, Tom said. Maybe time for you to go back to your cave. Sonic kicked at the floor and shrugged his shoulders. Yeah, cool, I get it. Humans need private time. I'll head out into the hills unless you need me. I don't mean that cave, said Tom. He led Sonic up the stairs to a door that had been locked for weeks. Figured if I was going to make a go of it in the new, more dynamic, less boring version of Green Hills, I'd need to keep my partner within arm's reach. Tom opened the door to a bedroom. A real one. Dude! Cried Sonic. Dude! It can't be real! It's real, Sonic, said Tom. This is home. For both of us. It always has been. I'm just making it official. So, no more of the siren call of San Francisco? I think that if we're called to action, said Tom, opening the package from Agent Stone, it'll come from someplace else. He held out a slick, next-level radio receiver. Sonic took the device in hand. Secret government hotline, he said. Way past cool. Life moved pretty fast, but finally Sonic wasn't alone anymore. And who knew? Maybe he'd get a chance to make even more friends down the road. Well, a true modern classic, I think you'll all agree. Thank you for being with us once again, and join us tomorrow night where we'll be reading the up-to-date novelization of Fortnite. Thank you very much.